there, friends. Welcome back to Concierge Weight Loss. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects so many of us, but doesn't always get the attention it deserves. Hormones, menopause, perimenopause. If you've ever felt like your body is working against you, gaining weight even when you're doing everything right, or just feeling off and not sure why, this episode is for you. I am joined by Chelsea Hohenberger, a family nurse practitioner and owner of Salt and Light Holistic Wellness and IV Therapy in Greenfield, Indiana. She specializes in functional and holistic medicine, helping women balance their hormones, feel better, and take control of their health, along with many other things. We'll talk about the early signs of perimenopause, why weight gain happens during menopause, even if your habits haven't changed, and why you can do what you can do to support your hormones, whether it's through lifestyle shifts, supplements, or bioidentical hormone therapy. So if you've been feeling stuck, frustrated, or just plain exhausted from trying to figure this all out on your own, stay tuned. Let's get into it. Hey, Chelsea, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks for having me.
excited. Yeah. So, we were talking before I hit record, and you have a booming business here with functional medicine. So, that's why I added in all kinds of other things besides women's health.
Yes, it's definitely been great. We've been open for about a year and a half now and just steadily gaining clients and really feel like kind of once word of mouth hit, then it just kind of all exploded from there. So it's been great.
So, I was nosing around on your website,
Mhm.
and you, in your bio, your About Me page, you mentioned that you had had some health issues.
Mhm.
And so, is that what brought you into all of this?
Yes. Probably I feel like when I turned 30, I just started falling apart. and I'd never had any health problems before. I'd always felt pretty good energy, no issues there. And then all of a sudden I was just exhausted all the time. I was having daily migraines and gaining weight even when I hadn't changed anything. I'd always been very active in the gym, doing a lot of classes, things as well. So I went to my primary care doctor who prescribed me a muscle relaxer and which, I had
A
3 young
Band-Aid.
children at the time.
Mhm.
And, who can, function with muscle relaxers when you're a busy mom, 3 kids, and working as a nurse as well. So I was really frustrated. I wanted to know why I was experiencing these things. And I went to several other doctors and no one even seemed to be interested in looking into why I was having these until I did get to one amazing primary care doctor who kind of started to lead me down this path, more of a functional medicine path. And we discovered a lot of things kind of triggering and causing my migraines and a reason for my weight gain and fatigue. And once I started kind of learning those things and making a lot of diet and lifestyle changes for myself, I just kind of feel like I couldn't stop learning about it. It just really took me down this path. I was also working as a case manager at the time for the Medicaid population, which is very underserved population who a lot of times doesn't have a lot of great resources at their fingertips or resources to, buy and do things to promote their health. And I started just really educating them on a lot of like the diet and lifestyle things that I was changing in my life. And I saw a lot of my patients that were, their blood sugars were becoming better managed. They weren't, they were able to lower their insulin. They were just happier. They had, were more full of life, had better energy. And so then I decided to go back to get my NP. I'd kind of always had this dream of having just this little crunchy holistic wellness clinic. And so, yeah, I worked in family medicine for a couple of years and just my heart and my love is just kind of more in a different direction than standard medical practice. And I just wasn't happy. So I kind of took a big leap of faith and opened up my wellness clinic. And I'm so glad that I did.
Oh, that is exciting. So many of the things that you were talking about mirror my experience
Mm-hmm.
with autoimmune stuff and then hormone things and my weight. And so I was 230 pounds and then all this autoimmune stuff, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They tried all these really harsh medicines, hair falling out, couldn't keep my memory straight. And like it just felt like symptoms just kept adding up to
Mm-hmm.
more and more things, which made it less explainable for the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm done with their medicines and I just got to get myself, I got to know that I'm doing everything I can do from my side. And
Right.
so, same kind of thing where I was like, I've got to find something. And so, changing my lifestyle habits and my food and my, like getting better
Mm-hmm.
sleep and water, like all these things, just I thought I'm going to be like a finicky houseplant and learn how to take the best care of myself.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm still figuring some things out. I'm 46. So, like,
Mhm.
I am loving that you were excited to come on here and talk to me about hormones because I'm pretty sure this is where I'm at right now. So let's jump
Sure.
in.
Absolutely.
All right. So, what would be some first signs that someone might recognize before, like when they're starting to enter that perimenopause or menopause time?
Yeah. I would say some of the first signs, I mean, it can differ woman to woman for sure. I always say kind of we're all just very unique individual creatures for sure. But definitely, I hear of like a lot of mood changes, either, increased anxiety or just feeling very irritable. Your cycles might become, longer and heavier or very short and light. Fatigue, definitely sometimes even, a little sleep disturbances or beginning to kind of wake up those wee hours of the morning as well too. Decrease in libido for sure. And then sometimes too, even, gaining some weight, especially around the midsection for sure.
Okay. I was trying to prep for our interview today. I was
Mm-hmm.
reading a book called The New Menopause,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like hundreds of signs that you
Oh
might
yeah.
be entering perimenopause
Yeah.
and how much it all connects to everything.
Oh yes.
What ages do you think that like people are going to start thinking like this could be some perimenopause versus it's
Mm-hmm.
something else?
It can start as early as in your 30s for
Okay.
sure. It's, I feel like for many years it was something that was thought of that, you maybe didn't enter perimenopause until, later 40s or so, but it can definitely start into your 30s as well.
So what is it? So like, I mean, is it just this collection of symptoms or like what's going on in our body that's making those symptoms happen? How would you explain that?
Yeah. Well, it can be a little bit of our, just our ovary function beginning to change, kind of getting out of that phase of producing life for sure. That can definitely start to begin to cause some hormone shifts. I think it's also, it is kind of a natural part of aging for sure for the female. Um, but a lot of it too just kind of comes with us. Our reproductive organs have done their job for many years, and they're just kind of transitioning into more of a time of not worrying about trying to produce an egg.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so as I was trying to understand, it was explaining to me that how many of these hormones that are responsible for like the female hormones, what was it, estrogen, progesterone, I think they
Mhm.
called them androgens, which is like where the testosterone is, they
Mhm.
affect a lot of things, like a,
Yeah.
a lot. And
Mhm.
so they were mentioning that how like the history of menopause used to be like welcome, it's almost like welcome into womanhood. It's like, oh, you're released from womanhood, now you get to relax finally and you don't have to have periods anymore. And that I guess some of the original medications and things for anything menopause related were only for hot flashes.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, and those hormones are important for us. And even though we're entering menopause, it doesn't mean that those hormones aren't still good or beneficial for our bodies. There's a
mhm.
lot of benefits, even from just brain health, healthy cognition, heart health, cardiovascular health as well too, and kind of helping with metabolic function as too as we age, with keeping those hormones at a nice, healthy, optimal level too, even into menopause.
So my podcast is definitely helping women who want to lose weight. We're not
Hmm.
focusing big into specific eat this, don't eat this, or like how many calories to have. I
Mhm.
practice more mindfulness with them and tackling emotional eating.
Mhm.
So this will be like perfect for them. But why do you think that there's weight gain? Like, where's that coming from?
Well, definitely when you have a shift in hormones too, insulin is also a hormone too. It's just usually thought with more of like blood sugar and diabetes, but it is a hormone in our body. And so anytime where you're seeing a shift in your sex hormones or, cortisol, that stress hormone as well, so it can start to cause a shift in insulin, which can start to, dysregulate your metabolic, your blood sugar balance as well too. So a lot of times when we see weight gain into menopause, it can be a little bit to do with just the fact that, you might not have that much estrogen or progesterone or your testosterone is waning, but it also has a lot to do with insulin and becoming a little bit insulin resistant as well into menopause is an important part of managing weight gain in menopause
So
as
that is a hot button buzzword. Can
well.
you give me like the quickie version of what insulin resistance means?
Yeah. So your pancreas will dump out insulin in response to helping keep your blood sugar at a healthy, optimal level. And sometimes I always kind of like to say the pancreas kind of gets a little overactive for sure. And if it feels like it's having trouble regulating your blood sugar, we'll dump out more insulin. And then we get this free floating insulin building up in the bloodstream, which dirty trick that our body plays is that will actually signal the body to save body fat, store body fat as well too. It also causes our fat cells that start to accumulate in those areas, especially around the midsection, to kind of swell, which makes the weight gain, the inflammation from the weight gain explode in a way as well too.
So is that so like I think everybody who hears insulin, we're used to diabetics and things like that. And if is this only because of our hormones or only because of what items we're like how much or what we're choosing to eat? What is creating some of this insulin resistance?
Yeah, it can be from many things. It can be from, hormone imbalances, for sure. Definitely our diet and lifestyle. I always say too, we do get, as women, get kind of stuck on, the fact that I'm gaining this weight and I haven't changed anything. I've eaten this way and I've done these exercises for, 10, 20 years. And all of a sudden now I'm having these problems. But, as our bodies change too, I feel like we have to adapt our lifestyle and even our exercise routines as well too. And I think sometimes too that is forgotten as well too. And that kind of helps, insulin resistance will kind of creep in the door a little bit, a lot of times women feel really great from doing cardio workouts or more aerobic workouts, HIIT training, that things like that. And as we age, sometimes those type of workouts are a little bit more stressful for our body and will actually increase cortisol,
Mhm.
which will then can, kind of dysregulate your blood sugar and insulin as well too. So it really is an issue that just has so many connecting parts as well too, and moving parts that you can't just look at one area of the body when you're treating someone into menopause.
Oh, I love that. I how I help people is like we talk about like how their lifestyle habits are affecting them. And it's
Mhm.
not a list of do this or don't do this because it is so personalized to each person. And so like their entire genetic makeup or like all of their other things that are in their life. And so I love that like nobody wants to be told to work out more and more and more, especially when we find out that like it could just be too much and building
Yes.
up cortisol.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, how do we determine if someone has a hormone imbalance? Are there like specific tests they should ask their doctor for?
Yeah. I typically go by symptoms. And then I also always like to check a hormone panel, which can be done with just a simple blood draw to look at your progesterone, estradiol, testosterone levels as well too. Also some other important markers, your LH, FSH. and sex hormone binding globulin to give you kind of a full, at least sex hormone panel there. I prefer actually to do expanded panels, kind of even out from that as well too, to kind of get the big picture. We always look at adrenal hormones as well, of course, an insulin total. I check some vitamins to look for any vitamin deficiencies as well, and definitely a full thyroid panel as well. Typically in conventional medicine, you may get one or two thyroid markers checked where to get a good, full view of your thyroid as well too, having, at least 5 markers checked is best.
I think if you don't mind, before we jump off, I'll have you give me that list and I'll put that in the show notes because I'm sure that would be a great takeaway for someone who's got an appointment to talk to their doctor.
Sure.
And so we kind of talked about how diet and lifestyle can regulate it. Does everybody need to have like hormone replacement therapy or?
No, not everyone. Studies are showing more though that, kind of getting on top of any hormone imbalances prior to heading into menopause too can actually cause better outcomes for women as they head into menopause and, the first few years into menopause as well too. And I don't think that even, I have women that are into menopause and, we are managing their symptoms and they have nice healthy levels even with just some diet changes, lifestyle changes. I also do a lot of herbals as well too.
Okay. When we were talking before, when we were scheduling this, you said, I only prescribe bioidentical hormones, and I had no idea that there were multiple types of hormones. So what would be the other type of hormone?
Yeah. So the difference between bioidentical and then basically a synthetic hormone would be that bioidentical hormones are closer in their molecular structure to your own body's hormones. So your body's going to recognize those and use those a lot, more appropriately than they would a synthetic hormone. Also, a lot of the testing that shows, higher like breast cancer risk, with estrogen use, or, even progestin, which is the synthetic hormone for progesterone. Those synthetic hormones do pose more of a cancer risk. So I avoid those at all costs.
And then I don't know how I want to ask this because I didn't tell you about this one. I think that I've heard a lot of people very afraid to even try anything with hormone replacement therapy because they're afraid it causes breast cancer.
Yeah.
So what do we know about that now?
Yeah. Well, we are learning that large study that was released years ago pertaining to women's, hormones and hormone therapy into menopause that, kind of caused all the breast cancer scare with hormone use is very flawed and not really a good study at all. Also was largely with synthetic hormones as well too. I think that, it is something that you want to be with a practitioner who has experience with, is well-rounded in hormone therapy. And, you also want to do your due diligence, yourself to, just watch for any warning signs, just to be extra cautious with hormone therapy. I always recommend, make sure you're doing your monthly self-breast exams. Have some sort of breast cancer screening, whether that be a mammogram or a thermography or a breast ultrasound too, to stay on top of that. And then making sure that you are getting your hormones checked after you start a hormone. Time and time again, I will have women come to me who they were started on hormone therapy with another provider. They were started on these hormones and their hormones were never checked again. I always recommend having your hormone levels checked at least 6 to 8 weeks after you started a hormone too, so that those levels can be monitored and make sure that you stay in a safe, optimal range for your hormones.
Okay. Does it matter if you don't have to stop having a menstrual cycle to start the hormone therapy, right?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So would like where you're at in your monthly cycle, would that change what your hormones your blood test might read?
Yes. So optimally, it's, in a perfect world, it's great to get your hormones checked around day 19 to 21 if you're having a regular cycle. but many people, their cycles are irregular or short or long, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint that. So I usually try to just say, don't stress out about it too much. Try to get it done kind of mid-cycle. Just definitely don't have them drawn when you're on your menstrual cycle, or like the day or two right after you've stopped your cycle.
Okay. That is
Mhm.
really good to know. Thank you. What about some people who still are just kind of hesitant? Are there natural ways to support the hormone balance?
Yeah, there are some really great herbals out there. I would say, one that's definitely exploded in popularity over the last couple of years would be wild yam. So that is kind of a bioidentical progesterone in a way. Wild yam has the same molecular structure as our own body's progesterone, and you can use that as an over-the-counter topical cream. You also could consume wild yam root, which is also great. And progesterone is kind of our happy, calming hormone for sure. It can help with sleep. It can help with hot flashes most of the time. Sometimes you still need some estradiol, but it's also a great balancer between your estradiol and your testosterone as well too. So progesterone is great for if your estradiol is too high, it can help lower it. If it's too low, it can help raise it a little bit. So that's kind of always my starting point too with hormone therapy. I don't just jump to, an estrogen or testosterone. I usually try a little bit of progesterone first for most women. But definitely I still always recommend, sometimes I do, you can get now, hormone creams shipped to you through all these online hormone therapy, I guess you would call them like a virtual clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had, some clients who had ordered from there, and based on their symptoms, they were told they needed this cream that had, progesterone and estradiol in it. And then they come to me because they're still having these symptoms, and we check their labs, which were never checked in the first place. And, their estradiol is through the roof. You did not need any estradiol.
Yeah.
So even though you can get some of these things kind of over the counter or very easily, I still recommend getting a good base hormone panel first.
Yeah. What about birth control? Like I know the Mirena has progesterone in it. Is
Mhm.
that going to be on the same like dosage as what you're talking about in replacement or?
No, not typically. No, because those are kind of definitely more geared towards, of course, more as a birth control use.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times, I would say, the Mirena most commonly would be utilized, later into perimenopause for that woman who's having very heavy, long cycles, which it can be very effective for that and helpful. But as far as for helping with other, hormonal symptoms, it's usually not effective.
So not enough. Birth control pills or Mirenas or whatever are just not enough. Okay. There was something on your website, peptide therapy, and I don't know much about that. Is that something that was related to the hormones, or was that something else that I was reading about?
Um, Not typically, I wouldn't say so to, related with hormones, but
Okay.
peptides are basically chains of amino acids, which amino acids are great for protein and lean muscle production in the body, which is also very important for the perimenopausal, menopausal woman for sure. Having a higher level of lean muscle mass, they're actually showing that as better predictors of, health for many different areas as you age, even in, like your brain health, cognition, protection against dementia, as well as then just, surrounding those bones and helping protect and keep, a healthy bone structure as well too, since, osteoporosis is such a huge concern for the menopausal female. So peptides can be useful for some of those senses. Also, increasing muscle mass can be great too if you are working on any weight loss, because the more muscle mass we have,
Mhm.
our calorie expenditure is going to be a little bit different, and it can kind of help stimulate some fat burning as well too.
I have quite a few clients who use the semaglutide, tirzepatides, the weight loss injections.
Mhm.
Is that something that could be paired up with that,
Oh yes, yeah,
the peptide therapy?
absolutely. Mhm. Mhm.
What about with the hormone replacement therapy, are those okay to do together, the injectables with the weight loss injections with
Mhm.
hormone replacement therapy?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Oh, nice.
I was just kind of my big concern with the, GLP-1 injections, and I do prescribe them, but I am very cautious, and I dose mine a little bit differently. I kind of do more of a microdosing, um,
What does
because
microdosing mean? Because I've heard that explained a couple different ways to me, and I don't know if I just didn't understand it or
yeah,
if everybody's doing it a little different.
right. I mean, well, the GLP ones, there's many benefits from them, and we are just, I feel like we're just kind of on the tip of the iceberg
Mhm.
of really all the great things that they can do in the body, and they're not only great for weight loss and managing diabetes, but now it's also showing to decrease inflammation in the body, which is helping protect your cardiovascular health. Also for pain, achiness in the body. A lot of people with rheumatoid arthritis and kind of more chronic pain, inflammatory conditions as well too, feel a lot of relief from the GLP-1 injections. So I personally feel that when you see people with the terrible side effects and kind of getting that Ozempic face,
Mhm.
they're on too high of a dose. I
Mhm.
think that there is an art at doing them in a safe way. Yeah.
Microdosing would be if you have the Ozempic face or if you have too many, like if you have those extreme uh side effects from the medicines, then you'd be interested in microdosing.
Yes. I mean, I think microdosing is the way to go, anyways, because we are now also hearing kind of some, kind of more worrisome, scarier results from the GLP ones, about um, younger women, going into osteoporosis after rapid weight loss.
So not directly from the medicine, just from rapid weight loss, which
Yes, the rapid weight loss, because a lot of times you're on the larger doses.
mhm.
If you're on a larger dose and you aren't, your appetite is so suppressed that you are not intaking the nutrition that your body needs,
Mhm.
that's not healthy. That is not healthy weight loss.
And the
Um,
rapid muscle loss too.
yes, you lose tons of muscle mass, which is not healthy. And then that's when we see these people who then get off the GLP ones, they rebound the weight, and now they have a higher body fat percentage than before. Well, because they lost all muscle, they didn't lose that much fat.
And I want to make sure anyone who's listening to this, she is not saying that GLP-1s are directly causing it's excessive weight loss fast.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so even people who do those strict calorie cuttings, they will
Yes.
lose hair and they will lose muscle mass and they will have all these same things that are risk problems by
Yes.
fast, quick late weight loss.
Yes. Like I always tell people, that when I'm prescribing the GLP ones, I want you to be on just the lowest effective dose to where it is, you know, um, curbing your appetite a little bit. It's kind of
Mhm.
stimulating some weight loss, but you are still intaking enough nutrition. I always tell people, another thing too is that your body, if you aren't giving it the nutrition it needs, it's going to look for a source for fuel.
Mhm.
And it only takes 3 minutes to liquefy muscle for fuel. It takes hours to liquefy fat. So that's where we see that rapid muscle loss
Yeah.
from. So I'm always telling my clients, you have to prioritize your protein.
Mhm.
Even if you aren't super hungry, I would say, if you sit down to dinner and, you've got your protein and some sides, eat your protein first. So that way, if you fill up quickly, at least you got your protein in for sure.
Yeah. I think what I've heard a lot of, and I know we were going to talk about menopause and we jumped right
Yeah.
into these
Yeah.
GLP-1s, but I think what I've heard a lot of clients say is like they're getting it from some it's almost like some other pharmacy who's also prescribing it too. And then
Yes.
or even a medical doctor who doesn't have a lot of experience with how quite to utilize that as a tool.
Mhm.
So the drug companies were saying to just up the dose every single month. And so they would follow that and then they would have way more symptoms and kind of that too high a fat loss.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I kept thinking as I was hearing this is every other medication that doctors ever prescribe, it's the lowest beneficial dose.
Yeah.
And so we don't give people cholesterol or blood pressure meds at the highest dose. They always start at the smallest, or depression meds, anything, the
Yes.
smallest that works. And then you always have somewhere to go from there. So if you just jump right up, that's just giving you more side effects than you really
Yes.
have to deal with
Absolutely.
at once.
Hmm.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just think I love the GLP ones. I think they're fantastic. But I do just feel like there's an art to using them in a healthy way.
yeah. I agree. I agree. What did back to our menopause talk?
Mhm.
What do you think stress and sleep play in, like, what kind of role do they play in the menopause and weight gain kind of cycles?
Yeah, definitely. If we aren't sleeping well, if we're not getting into that deep REM sleep, then it's going to drive hormone disruption for sure. A lot of times when we're sleeping, that's our body's time to kind of rest and restore.
Hmm.
So if we're not getting to that point, it's definitely going to block hormone production as well. Stress, I am huge on that with my clients as well too. Chronic stress over time will lead to physical inflammation of the body, and that is basically the root of all disease, honestly. So, when you're stressed, you're creating inflammation in your body. That's causing hormone shifts. That's going to cause weight gain. That's going to cause, metabolic and blood sugar dysregulation. It's just kind of a ball of chain of events. So, stress management and kind of prioritizing a good sleep routine is key for sure.
I think I heard a quote that disease cannot live in a relaxed state or something like that. And so that whole stress hormone cortisol thing, it kind of plays into that, I think. Like it's the lower you, and I'm sure there's things against that, but like the lower you can get your stress, it's gonna affect all kinds of good things in your body.
Absolutely.
Um, we talked about vitamins and supplements. Are there like routine ones that you think most people should be on to help with hormone balance or weight loss or any of that kind of thing?
I definitely always recommend a good methylated multivitamin. So it's going to have all, especially those B vitamins, already in the methylated form, so that your body is able to just kind of pick them up and use them.
I
Um,
don't know what methylated means. Is there something
so
like if you went to the drugstore or Walmart that it's going to say methylated on it?
not often.
Okay.
So, over 60% of the population has at least one gene mutation that affects methylation in the body. And that process happens many areas in the body, but most commonly it affects a lot of like vitamins, such as B vitamins. So it's basically the body's way of kind of converting a vitamin or an enzyme into the usable form for the body. And so sometimes we have gene mutations that disrupts that hormone cycle, and we're not able to convert those things. So I always recommend a good methylated multivitamin that they're already in that form, so your body is able to utilize them. One easy way to look for that is when you look at the label. I always, go to the B12 on the label, and if it says cyanocobalamin, it is not methylated. You want it to say methylcobalamin on
Okay.
there, is one form of it. But a lot of them you'll see, like the B vitamin then in parentheses, a long label there. And a lot of times you'll see methyl in it somewhere to kind of give you some clues that it's methylated.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
is that the only vitamin or a supplement that you?
I love that. Vitamin D3 is very important. It's not only important just for, our immune system. It's great for mood, energy, metabolism. It's also the building blocks of of the hormones. When you kind of look at the hormone cascade, how hormones are created in the body, vitamin D is at the top. So that one's very important, especially I always recommend getting vitamin D level checked at least once a year as well, too, just to kind of make sure an optimal levels there, and supplementing if you need to. Um, Also, too, even if we are eating the best food that we can get our hands on, unfortunately, our soil is depleted, and sometimes our food, is not as nutrient dense as we would like it to be. So I usually recommend also kind of mineralizing yourself daily, and that can easily be done with some Celtic sea salt. So that's kind of the purest form of salt, one of the most purest forms, but it also has all those great trace minerals in it as well too. You can simply take a couple grains and put it under your tongue and let it melt once a day, or sprinkle it in a glass of water and drink it. It's quick and easy. You can get a bag of Celtic sea salt for $6 to $8, and it'll last you months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So, where would women start? If they thought their hormones might be out of balance, but they just don't know where to start, where would they start at?
I definitely think too, kind of cleaning up your diet for sure too, working on stress, kind of, prioritizing, good sleep, trying to at least get, 7+ hours of sleep a night is great in general. Like I had something written down on my paper too that I wanted to mention about that as well. Also looking at our self-care products. We say environmental toxins, it's difficult to escape them. We're surrounded by them. But it's important to look at what we're putting on our skin. Your skin absorbs a lot more than what you realize. I always say your skin is like a big mouth. It's, it's the largest organ of the body. It will just, it really is affected by what it comes into contact to and what we're slathering all over ourselves on a daily basis. So I always recommend, there are several great, good apps out there like Yoga or going to Environmental Working Group to check your self-care products, because unfortunately in this country, they allow some terrible chemicals into our self-care products that are labeled as endocrine disruptors. So they are great for disrupting our hormones, as well as kind of some cancer-causing effects as well too. So trying to reduce some of those as well.
I've heard about the deodorant and like trying to, do some differences with that, but I didn't know there was an app for that. So we'll put that in the
Yes.
show notes too, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do they do if they're like, okay, I'm doing everything I can do, which I feel like that's our journey, right? We were like, let's get it all in order, what we can do. But like, unfortunately, even some of the best providers, they're not skilled in this. And so they
Sure.
might tell you one of those things like, oh, I'll give you an antidepressant, or, you don't have problems till you're having hot flashes, or there's nothing that can be done for you, like,
Mhm.
sorry about ya. This
Yeah,
is welcome to the next half of your life kind of thing. So,
sure.
what should they do if they're feeling like their healthcare provider, unfortunately, is dismissing some of their symptoms?
I definitely say, look for someone who is, practicing in more of a holistic or functional medicine way near you. I think, standard medicine, conventional medicine, unfortunately, doctors and other nurse practitioners, we're not taught this type of care
Mhm.
in school. And so, by no fault, of their own, a lot of, other practitioners just don't know, or, don't know how to, treat someone in that way. It's just not something that they're taught. And so I definitely say seek out someone who is, who, will kind of take the time, or, is able to give you the time to listen to your symptoms and get a good set of labs for sure, and someone then who is experienced and knowledgeable in, kind of leading you through any, deficiencies or imbalances that they find in your labs.
Is there a list or a website they could go to like reference maybe someone in their area?
Yeah. So Institute for Functional Medicine, it's one of the national organizations for functional medicine. They actually have a provider database on there. That's one great place to look. Now, not every provider in your area will be on there, because to be on their list, you have to be a member, or, like working towards a certification with them. But that's one great place you can look for sure. Or
Okay.
even just, with as much, technology and AI that you get when you just type in Google, even
Mhm.
if you're just typing, a holistic or functional medicine, practitioner near me,
Okay.
it's definitely becoming a more popular thing for sure.
What's one thing you wish more women knew about menopause and weight loss?
Um, Definitely with menopause, you don't have to suffer. It's, some people, it's almost kind of seen as well, even though they kind of say, oh, well, you're free from, having menstrual cycles and things like that. But, you don't have to suffer with hot flashes and fatigue and just feeling awful and bloated and puffy all the time. It's not, I believe that we weren't meant to live that way. Um, and so I definitely say, if you are having those symptoms or you aren't feeling well, definitely seek out someone to help you and kind of guide you in that for sure.
I think one of the things that really struck me as I was preparing for our call today was that it's not just about taking care of all of these side effects and symptoms that we have. It's actually about preserving our body's tissues. So all of the things that all the hormone replacement therapy and all of the different lifestyle changes that we've talked about, those healthy habits, it really, like you said, it preserves the bones and the muscles and the heart and the brain and the cognition. And so this isn't just about whether or not you can get through menopause and like tough it out until it goes away. Like we really want to save as much as our bodies function and
Right.
tissue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was amazed at how high the risk for women and cardiovascular diseases and how related it is to menopause hormone type things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, that one was big for me. I was reading about benefit versus risk ratios and how when that study that you said was the bad research one that kind of gave everyone the bad name about hormone
Mhm.
replacement therapy and thinking it was going to make everyone have breast cancer, that like how low the percentage of people that would have that is, and still how exponentially high the cardiovascular risk still was. And so they weren't taking that benefit
Mhm.
risk ratio into effect at all.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to talk about today? I know you have all kinds of great services at your practice. If anyone's listening locally, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I also do the vitamin IV therapy, and I do a lot of vitamin injections as well too. The vitamin IV therapy, it can be great because we're just able to put those, vitamins and minerals directly into the bloodstream. So you don't have to depend on, taking them orally and then, depending on your gut to absorb them and utilize them appropriately. Um, that's that takes about an hour and a half to do that if you come in. Um, or I have a lot of women that love just the quick pop in for a vitamin injection appointment. I've got some different injections that also kind of help with boosting metabolism and energy as well too, kind of in a natural way that I have a lot of women just really find is helpful on their weight loss journey as well too, even just to kind of keep them energized and motivated for sure. I also recently started adding on red light therapy. So red light therapy, it's really a therapy that has almost endless benefits. The one that we have, it's full body, and it is a light that emits 7 different wavelengths that either just penetrate lightly into the skin, which can be great for anti-aging, collagen boosting, but then some deeper ones that reach more down to the cellular level, tissue, organ, which can be great for muscle, ligament repair, recovery from workouts, decreasing the inflammation in the body, and even kind of stimulating the mitochondria in the cell, which is the powerhouse of the cell. And if your cells are able to operate and do things appropriately, then it kind of just helps everything else in the body start hitting their
Is
correct.
that different from infrared?
So yeah, so the infrared are kind of the rays that are going to reach deeper. So it does have some infrared
Okay.
in as well
So
too. Yeah.
so the red light therapy reaches deeper or the infrared does?
Well, infrared are the rays that reach deeper.
Okay. I know I had a mat and
Yeah.
I don't really know what it was supposed to do because it has these crystals and all these things and it was called an infrared. I can't near infrared or I
Yes.
don't
Yeah. Yeah. You can
and
have.
but it is the best napping mat in the world.
Yeah.
And so I will lay that out and like set the timer for 20 minutes. And it is the deepest relaxation I've ever had. And a lot of this, you said you were a crunchy nurse practitioner. And I understand because I have no idea why that mat gives me
Mhm.
the best nap in the world, but like whether it's just all woo-woo in my head or not, but I absolutely feel better after a nap.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I also have a grounding mat on our table too when you come in for your red light therapy. So, grounding kind of helps as well too with just detox and decreased inflammation in the body as well. And then we also do ionic foot detoxes as well, which can be a nice way to just kind of help promote detox in the body. Detoxing also has multiple symptoms, which sometimes too, I would say probably can be confused a little bit with possibly some hormone imbalances or even autoimmune type conditions as well too. A lot of times you'll kind of have a higher toxic burden. So through the foot detoxes, you come in, it's a 30-minute soak. There's an ionizing machine in the water that actually kind of stimulates detoxing in the body through the soles of your feet. And then as areas of your body begin to detox, the oils that are secreted through the soles of your feet are changed. And so how that interacts with the ions in the water, you'll see a color change in the water, or sometimes you'll kind of see some flecks in the water, or even like some foam beginning to brew on the top of the water. And we have a chart that can kind of guide you as to where, okay, well, you might be detoxing heavily from your liver, or when you see some dark black flecks, that might be a little bit more like heavy metal toxicity as well too. So that's really been a great service to add on, and we have packages for that. So we have women and a couple men have come in to do it too, but coming in, once a week for 4 weeks. And it's interesting to see their water, at the end of the first session to their water at the end of the fourth session. So we're definitely seeing, the water isn't as dark and thick and murky, or a lot of foam on top there after you've done it for a few weeks too.
Do they report feeling different?
Yes. Yeah. I've had a lot of people kind of report just better energy, not feeling as achy, better brain, less brain fog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, this has been so much fun. Chelsea,
Yeah.
where can listeners find you if they want to learn more about hormone health, holistic wellness, just anything about your services?
Yeah. I have a website that kind of tells a little bit about the clinic and the services we offer. That's saltandlightholistic.com. And then I also, I always try to post a lot of educational content as well on my social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. So if you just search in Salt and Light Holistic Wellness, you should be able to find us on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Salt Light Holistic. Yeah, I always welcome anyone to, even, I say, send me a DM on any of the social medias if you have any questions, or give us a call at the office, and we'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Oh, so you're the one answering those. That
Yes,
you
yes,
guys
yes.
heard it. She said that you could ask her questions. You might regret that.
Yeah.
All
As I've
right.
gotten busier, it's definitely an area that I think at some point I might have to hand this off to somebody.
Well, ask your questions before she has to. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have loved hearing all about this.
Mhm.
Wow, that was an insightful conversation with Chelsea. I hope this episode gave you some clarity and, more importantly, hope that you can take charge of your hormones and feel better in your body. If you want to learn more about the services Chelsea offers, you can check her out, and I will have all of those links in the show notes. If today's episode hit home for you, send me a DM or a comment. Send Chelsea one. She invited you to do it. I'd love to hear what resonated most with you. And of course, if you're looking for personalized support on your weight loss journey, I'm here to help. Head over to coachingkara.com/free call and book a free personalized solutions call. Let's figure out what's been keeping you stuck and create a plan that actually works for your body. That's all for today, friends. Until next time, take care and keep showing up for yourself. You deserve it.